And in the hours after her death, he was trying to use her debit card and trying to sell her cell phone. So, and this is, to me as a prosecutor, this was a slam dunk, and I'm thankful the judge did the right thing and is going to hold him pre-trial in jail, and then I believe he will never leave jail for the rest of his life.
DeWitt, I listened to everyone who spoke, and I hear devastation on both sides. You know, in any case where there is someone accused of a crime, and if they're ultimately convicted, their family members become victims, from my perspective, in some respect as well, because while they did not commit a crime, they've been victimized by it. And even though now presumed innocent, you know, we're at the beginning of this case, you can still see how much this has devastated everyone involved.
Yeah, certainly it has, Vinny, and it was a very heartfelt plea from the family. You know, I think there was some comfort involved in being able to have those talks from their home instead of being in a courtroom that's outside of their comfort. And even more so, the folks who are relatives of Mr. Rowland, right? His brother made a very passionate plea. And you could see the emotion on the judge's face in her ruling. And one of the things, you know, that stuck out to me was that she said that her ruling was subject to this time. But right now, she believes that bond should be denied. But I would expect there to be further motions for a bond and some type of relief down the line. But with the evidence, as was stated by Dave, that's against him, that's going to be a pretty high hill to get over.
Absolutely. Let's listen to April Sampson, the prosecutor in the case, talking about some of that evidence.
Murder in South Carolina is defined as the killing of another with malice aforethought. So that's a bunch of legal jargon for you got to have at least contemplated it for 2 seconds. We don't require you to have planned it out or have this long drawn out premeditation. It can be the minute you pulled the gun and pointed it at somebody and pulled the trigger, that's going to be murder. So we just have to show that you meant the action that you did and that you intended for, or the actions that you did intended to kill someone. So in this case, we would have to show that he intended when he stabbed her to kill her. And then, you know, for kidnapping, he starts with that. Our kidnapping statute's really broad, but basically if you move someone or keep them from moving, that's going to be kidnapping.
Jennifer Brandt, I hear a lot of confidence in that prosecutor's voice.
Yeah. Well, when you hear some of the evidence, they said that there were child safety locks that were engaged and that she was not able to get out of the car. That's what they've been saying. So, you know, that sounds pretty strong that he prevented her from moving. And then we talked about the brutal stabbing 31 times. You know, apparently they didn't know each other. She was waiting for an Uber and mistakenly got into his vehicle. You know, why this happened or what possessed him to stop and do this, who knows? But it seems that I think the prosecutor is pretty confident. And as we pointed out, there is a lot of evidence against this defendant. But, you know, to hear his family, it was heartbreaking to hear them as well, because they're in a state of disbelief, it sounds like. And you really believe what they were saying, that they just can't imagine that he could do something like this. Because, you know, as they said, he was not a violent person. But it's a heartbreaking case. I mean, and I think also the Zoom just made it that much stronger, which is really unusual because we're all struggling doing Zoom trials these days. But here, it was very, very powerful.
Absolutely. And it's a case, obviously, we'll continue to track here on Court TV. When we come back, we're going to hear from you, the 13th juror. And what we're talking about tonight is your reaction to the rookie cop from Minneapolis who is facing charges, his lawyer speaking out, speaking to Court TV.